All right, welcome back to the channel. So it looks like we're getting closer to seeing who Canelo Alvarez is going to fight next. They're talking about Murata out of Japan. And let me tell you, man, that makes sense on a couple levels, on the DAZN level, on the move back down to 160 level, and also the fight somebody that nobody really wants to see you fight. Thing that Canelo Alvarez has going on these days, man. But I want to talk about that and Oscar De La Hoya talking about Jermall Charlo and how the ship has sailed on Jermall Charlo, even though they're gonna fight Murata. Let's talk about that. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Also, special thank you to everybody that participates in the Patreon. Check out the new video we have up on Patreon entitled Deontay Wilder and Service in Your Greatness. I think that you'll really enjoy it. It's kind of my take on what he meant by one of the phrases that you continually hear him speak. And it's not just about boxing, but it's about life as well. I think you'll really enjoy it. Thank you so much to everybody that's joined the channel, everybody that comes by the live streams Monday through Friday and OG Boxing Talk on Sunday, and everybody that watches the videos that we upload on a daily basis, usually around 1:15, 3:15, 5:15 and 8:15. We don't do 7:15. We make them in the morning. We like to upload them, every 2 hours throughout the day. So whenever you're available, you can check them out. But 7 o'clock is when 78 Sports TV has its live streams. So I don't release a video during that hour. I wait till that's over. So check it out. Let's talk about Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is one of the best fighters in boxing. Absolutely, positively, no doubt about it. The guy can fight, all right? A guy can absolutely, positively fight in the ring. He has one of the most accomplished fighters in boxing today. The only guy that I think could say that they're more accomplished in their career is Manny Pacquiao. But, Canelo Alvarez has just done a lot in the sport of boxing. Excellent fighter, man. Excellent fighter. He's had some things. I was a huge fan. He's had some things that have gone on over the last couple years that really kind of turned me off. But in my heart of hearts, I love watching Canelo Alvarez fight. And I think the dude is just absolutely terrific. But I just don't like how he's moved over the last couple years. And this thing with Jermall Charlo, I think really is a bruised eye. It's a bruised eye on the face of this dude's career. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about who Canelo Alvarez is going to fight next. Is he going to fight Billy Joe Saunders? Is he going to fight somebody at 175 pounds? Who is he going to fight? Looks like now that the latest person that's supposed to be in negotiations with him and a high likelihood of them doing the fight is Murata. I don't want to try to pronounce this. It's Murata. It's the WBA regular middleweight champion. A guy that lost to Rob Brandt, then beat Rob Brandt, and then he defended his title, and now he's in the running for a fight with Canelo Alvarez out of Japan. And the reason that it makes sense to me that they would do that fight with the guy from Japan is more than likely they want to go have that fight in Japan, because DAZN, the network that is paying Canelo Alvarez all his money, cannot be happy with the performance of what they're, with the subscriptions and the things that they're getting out of Canelo in the United States. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing all these dang gimmicks and tricks. Talk about moving up the cost of the app, having YouTube guys fight one another on the app, and like YouTube boxing is here to stay. Nah, man, YouTube boxing is not popping off on ESPN. YouTube boxers fighting people is not popping off on Fox. That is simply and straightforward. It is nothing but a DAZN gimmick to try to get some people to sign up so they can artificially inflate those numbers, okay, for whatever reason that they're doing it. But That is not here to stay. It's an absolute gimmick, and it's gonna blow away in the wind like I don't know, like professional foosball tournaments on on TV. It's not gonna pop off, man. That's my opinion anyway. We'll see. But the fact that he would go to Japan makes sense because DAZN is in Japan. So if they can have a big event, sell a lot of tickets for a Japanese fighter in Japan, you can get hopefully a lot of people would subscribe to DAZN out of Japan. That could give a big boost of DAZN subscribers worldwide, not necessarily in the United States, because more than likely the same people, the buying pattern for those subscriptions are that people buy it at the beginning of the month and then they get rid of it when the event is over, and then they come back later on and do the same thing over and over again. On the little bit of research that I've done about the buying patterns on apps like that that's how they do it. But so in the United States at least. But hey, if they have better offerings and they have a greater variety of sports that they can get in Japan, then having Canelo Alvarez go over to Japan would make a lot of sense for DAZN. But there ain't a lot of Mexicans in Japan, I do believe. I do not believe there's a lot of Mexicans in Japan. I'm sure that there are Mexicans in Japan, but probably not a lot of Mexicans in Japan. So we'll see how that rolls. But so that's why I think that's probably a realistic fight for him to make for the DAZN reason and for this reason as well. Unfortunately, this reason as well. This is another fight where it is a preordained outcome. Okay, Murata is not beating Canelo Alvarez. He's not beating Canelo Alvarez unless that would be one of the biggest upsets in the history of boxing if he beat Canelo Alvarez. Okay, I'm not buying it. All right, it's possible, but I'm not buying it. This is just like, it's another, Canelo what can we say about this? Canelo Alvarez is fighting another champion, the WBA champion, Murata. But isn't Canelo Alvarez also the WBA champion? Isn't he the WBA super champion? I do believe this would be the second WBA regular champion that Canelo Alvarez has beaten in the last year. I do believe it's Murata if he fights Murata, and then Rocky Fielding. Rocky Fielding was a WBA regular champion at 168 pounds. Now the difference is that Canelo Alvarez obviously can't fight the WBA super champion, the WBA super champion middleweight, because he's it. But the thing that I find out about it is that it's, Oscar De La Hoya, when Oscar De La Hoya told that story, and I believe it's a story, I could be wrong, but it just doesn't ring right to me, where he said that they made a big offer to get the Canelo Alvarez fight, to get the Charlo fight, but Charlo didn't want the fight. Yeah, so when was this? When Charlo was fighting Brandon Adams, he didn't want the fight? Or when he was fighting Matt Korobov that he didn't want the fight? Or was it when he fought what's the guy's name that what is his name? Little Irish dude he knocked over in a cartwheel backwards. Why wouldn't Jermall Charlo want to fight with Canelo Alvarez when Jermall Charlo has been saying for years he wanted to fight Canelo Alvarez? And he said if Canelo Alvarez moved up to when Canelo Alvarez moved up to 160, Jermall Charlo said he's moving up to from 154 to 160 to get Charlo. And when Charlo fought at 160, when Canelo fought at 160, Charlo said he was going to move up to 160. Wherever he can move up, I can move up too. This is a guy that's been asking for a Canelo Alvarez fight for a while. But aside from whether or not he turned down some offer, even though he said it wasn't Canelo, it was one of his handlers. I can't tell you who the handler was. What handler is going to be having a conversation with Oscar De La Hoya other than Al Heyman or whoever the advisor is, unless I just do believe is his manager and advisor. His manager is Al Heyman. How could you, if you made an offer to Jermall Charlo, you would have made it to Al Heyman, not some guy. Who'd you ask? You know what I mean? Was a friend of his that was carrying a camera or something? Hey, you think he wants to fight? Nah, I don't know. I can't say. What? Turn it down. I mean, in what scenario? But regardless, when Oscar De La Hoya said, well, the ship is sailed on that. Why is it sailed? Why is it sailed? Canelo's not retired. Charlo's not retired. Why would you say the ship is sailed if you really had any intention on ever making the fight? That sounds like one of these offers that you make or one of these things you make to make an excuse for why you don't ever want that fight. But then again, aside from Jermall Charlo, what about Demetrius Andrade? Why you got to go all the way to Japan to fight Murata when you got the WBO 160-pound champion sitting right there on the East Coast in the same country that you're in? So he won't fight Gennady Golovkin, right? Now watch this. At 160, he's coming down to fight Murata, he's coming back to his weight class to fight Murata, right? Who's a WBA regular champion. But he won't fight Gennady Golovkin, who's the IBF champion, because he fought him twice. He won't fight Jermall Charlo, that ship is sailed, and he won't fight Demetrius Andrade. I mean, what is this, man? And you just gotta understand, man, I think Canelo Alvarez has the ability to beat all these guys. But since he's signed with DAZN, it's just a lot of Hollywood nonsense, a lot of faking going on. And he doesn't have to fake because he's good enough to beat any of those guys. But a couple of those guys are going to be very hard fights for Canelo, okay? Gennady Golovkin was not a walk in the park for Canelo. Jermall Charlo is not going to be a walk in the park for Canelo. Demetrius Andrade is not going to be a walk in the park for Canelo. But a worn down, old, need money Sergey Kovalev, who's been knocked out 2 times, or a Rocky Fielding, or a Murata, they very well might be. Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.